All right, all right, all right. All right. All right. So happy Tuesday, good people. We are super excited to be here today. So, first and foremost, I want to welcome everybody to Talk Tuesday. It is a series that is dedicated to empowering youth and families. This series is being brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. I am Abigail Ellis, your host and founder of Steps Foundation, Inc. This month has been such an amazing topic. I'm so happy as we have been talking about positive peer relationships. We know that friendships can both be a source of joy and growth, stress and conflict, and depending on their nature, can sometimes be amazing, right? So throughout this month, we've kind of been exploring how to recognize healthy versus toxic relationships, how we communicate with each other, and strategies for resisting peer pressure, and even the qualities of trust and empathy in strong relationships. So we invite you guys to take part in the conversation as we continue to share and learn from each other. I'm excited because y'all see my panel. You see these people. You see these people with me. I'm super, super excited having all of you guys back. So if you've never attended a Talk Tuesday before, I'm gonna start with my man Smitty. Wave, say hi to the people, Smitty. He's been with us for 3 years, Smitty. 3 years strong. And we're always happy to have him sharing his level of expertise and knowledge and just ways to help support growth for not just students, but students and families. Caesar, one of our students he's now adulting. We have gotten the amazing opportunity to watch Caesar grow throughout this program with us, and now he is mentoring and serving in other ways and capacities. So it's always phenomenal to have Caesar with us on Talk Tuesday. Caesar, what you been with me 4 years now? Almost 4 years.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, look at that, my boy. Dr. Juliana Lytle is with us tonight. Look, we're so happy to have you back. I feel like you ran away from us.
I'm so excited to be back. And I did not run away. I was taken away. I have children in sports now. They got me all over the place. And so today was just one of those days where my husband was able to pick them up. And I was out, there was so many things, but I'm so happy to be back. I missed everyone. I'm glad
Yes,
to
we
be part
miss
of the
you.
conversation.
So welcome back, Doc. And now I'm excited to introduce to y'all because Elani is one of our team members who has been sharing so much information the last 2 weeks. Look, bringing her out of her shell, out of her comfort zone. And I'm loving all the things that she's able to share with you guys as well. Welcome, Amaya, to Talk Tuesday, who is also one of our team members. And I am looking forward to hearing how you guys are able to contribute to the conversation today as we are talking about, let's see what we're talking about today. Hold on, y'all. Ooh, navigating peer pressure, y'all. Navigating peer pressure. That's where we at. Now, I know that is a tough one because peer pressure looks different across the board for everybody. So, I got to start with a question. Got to start with a question. Look, oh, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. I have another team member that's sitting beside me. Look, I'm always excited, getting our team members involved. So, you guys, what are some examples of positive and negative peer pressure that you've experienced? Oh, I love these thinking faces. It's my fave. Let's start with positives. Let's do that. Let's start with positives. What are some positive peer pressure that y'all have seen?
You know, for me, um, growing up in the environment that I did, not having, other than someone than my mom to kind of confide in, having a cousin who was my age, right? Um, to kind of just be there, to relieve some of the anxiety. It's crazy when you look back on what you experienced as an adolescent, right? And not understanding the importance of some people around you. But to have him there to be somewhat of a positive influence, because the one thing, you know, so here's my point, and to young folks, like we want to quickly um you know I don't know the word I'm looking for, but we want to discount those people who aren't hard or strong, especially from the male point of view, right? But now as I look back at it, my cousin always told me like, Smith, we shouldn't be doing this, or like we can do something different. And I'm me just being a hardhead, knucklehead. I'm like, no, let's do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so not too long ago, I had to actually apologize to him. We're both, in our mid 50s now. But I was like, yeah, you know what? I always thought you was a square. I always thought you was scary, but in reality, you was the positive energy that I needed, to circumvent some of the barriers and some of the challenges or the entrapments, if you will, that's out there. So I got to give a shout out to him. Like he was probably my first positive influence outside of my immediate family.
I love that.
I'll jump in next. I think one of the things that I find with kids in particular too is this kind of group think that happens. It happens in adults as well sometimes, but if you have folks around you who are doing things that are beneficial or more positive. I just remember my younger sister, for example, really was not really into reading. She just felt like reading wasn't her jam. And I love reading and I'm very passionate about it. My children know this about me and they are avid readers because of it. But at this time, I didn't have kids. And she is 8 years younger than me and would see me just kind of reading all the time for fun. And I remember this one time she was in trouble. So all her gadgets and, fun things were taken away. And she was just so upset that there was nothing she could do. And I was like, you could read a book, and she's like, that's not fun. So I'm like, well, it can be. First of all, you want to get out, it's the best, easiest form of escapism. So I started literally reading the book I was reading to her out loud. And at first she was a little resistant, but eventually she was like, hey, because I was like, all right, well, I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. She's like, can I keep that book? And so she began reading on her own more. And then now she loves reading. And so I just think that whether or not I intended to be, I was able to kind of peer pressure her into trying something new. And for the people in your life that help you get outside of that box or help you try new things that aren't negative or are going to be uplifting for you in some way, like, are they encouraging, are they uplifting you, are they supportive, or are they giving you like sound guidance? Because I think those are the things that differentiate whether or not it's positive peer pressure or driving you to do something that you probably should rethink.
I love these examples. Uh-oh. Like, come on, come on.
So awkward when you're
Get
passing
enough. It's
over.
okay, get enough.
Um, what I was just gonna say that like I was her what was it, her cousin? Was it
Her sister.
her sister? Because I used to hate reading. Like I want to make this abundantly clear. I like remember I have a vivid memory of when I was a kid and like I was at my like uncle's house and they had a rule that like a certain time period they don't have phones or anything. So they all my cousins picked up a book and I had to choose between reading a book or doing IXL, which is basically like math homework. I chose to do the math homework instead of reading because I did not want to read. I even made fun of my cousins. I was like, how can you choose to read? Like math is like more interesting. I now hate math and I love reading. Like I have checked out 3 different books. Like I have them in my hand. You can't even see them because of the background, but I have 3 of them. And the reason I got into it was because the internet now loves reading. Because I remember when I was in middle school, everyone hated reading because it's not for cool kids. And now on TikTok and like Twitter, you see people like, oh, look at this book I'm reading, guys.
Yeah.
Like it's like, and it's like aesthetically pleasing. And so it's like that's how it convinced me how to go back into reading. And it's not necessarily peer pressure. It was just kind of like I saw other people doing it. I was like, oh, I want to do it too because it looks cool. And now I can't stop. It's an addiction. I can't stop. It's a good addiction though to
I
have.
love it.
I love those perspectives.
And I would challenge that because I think it is a form of peer pressure. Social media is absolutely a form of peer pressure for our young people today.
Definitely, definitely. I see you, Caesar. Come on, baby.
Well, a form of positive peer pressure that I have, I don't know, have done, I guess, it's with my brother. When we were little, we used to work out a lot, like together and stuff. Well, he used to help me work out. He used to like count how many reps I did, checkpoint and all that thing. But now I see him doing it himself and see him, you know, working out every day. He's very fit and, and strong, and not he invites me now to work out with him, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. It's a funny interaction between us, and I think it's because I mean I don't know. He never said it, but I'm pretty sure he looks up to me. but I mean, like for example, I draw, and when I started drawing seriously, he started drawing seriously. When I started working out
Love
seriously,
that.
he started working out seriously. The only thing that I don't like, unfortunately, is reading, and he loves reading. So I might have to, get a book or two. I have a book or two over here, but they're in Japanese. So, but they're art books.
They're written in Japanese.
No, I wish.
Oh,
No, they're art books, so they have pictures and writings. But
ah,
yeah, positive peer pressure. I think it was like me not pushing him to do it, but just pushing him to like. Because I grew up in a different environment that he did. He grew up a couple of years later than me, and he didn't really get. He was fortunate enough to not go through what I went through, and I think for me it was just like saying that positive example of like positive energy and all that, so he can do whatever he wants to do or follow his dreams and all that.
I love that. I love that. Amaya and Lonnie, do one of you want to share?
You can go.
I'm like, not that I'm putting y'all on the spot or nothing, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Um,
Look, just a bit.
I'm trying to take in everybody's story, but I guess to pull a little bit from what Smitty said about like familial relationships, I think about like you, like Abby, for instance. I'm gonna like, I guess, pull from my childhood, but you know, um, like being cousins, I feel like when I would be with you for the summer, like, I think I just remember as a kid being very serious, being very like, on everything I was supposed to do. And I don't think fun was always centered. And I think that was something that was always centered, like when we were able to spend time together. And I think that was actually something I needed. But like Smitty saying, like his sibling or cousin kind of felt like a square to him. I think for me, I was like, this feels weird because I'm used to being this way all the time and being very like together and whatever and like being able to let loose and have fun. I think that was like a positive thing for me that I needed, as a kid because I was still a kid. Um, and I think I try to like carry that into my adult life as well. So now, like I still try to find pockets or create pockets of that. So I make sure like I do my I go to salsa dance classes every week. So that's my little like fun pocket. And
Oh,
it's a challenge because I get a little shy. But you know, I'm really pushing myself and we have a graduation next year, like a big dance performance. So it's a pretty big deal. But it reminds me of like being little with you, Abby, and like you teaching me like the Cupid shuffle and like the electric slide. And I'd be like, no, and you'd be like, come on, it's really easy.
I'm mad you remember
Yes,
talking
I do. I remember that
to you that.
very well. Mhm. Yeah, I
I
think that's
love
my
it. I love it. Oh, that's awesome. But that positive peer pressure, y'all, look, it's a thing.
Can I jump in right quick and just follow that up? What I took from that is the creating the pockets. It's crazy again, like how we sit here and think about the people that influenced us, inspired us. I don't like the word influence, inspired us to do something better, right? Or not to do something just because other people are doing it. But then, because I think that's a great use of the word pocket, create these pockets. You create these pockets because they're safe. It reminds you of something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to use that now because, the people that have inspired me, I want to make sure that I acknowledge that and celebrate them and then have these pockets where I go into and be like, "Ooh, this is why I do this," or this kind of brings me back to balance, to center. You know what I'm saying? So, man, that's awesome. Pockets. Look, I learned social capital, pockets, and man, we doing all kind of learning around this place.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Look, social capital was what, 2 years ago?
I think was it? Yeah, probably yeah. I think it was 2 years ago. Social capital.
About 2 years ago.
And serial entrepreneur. Yeah, I think that was all about the same
Serial
time.
entrepreneur, yes.
Yeah.
Serial entrepreneur was last year. Look at that.
Okay. All right. All right.
No, but
And
that's
and,
cool.
and I do
So
want to
Smith got his one
acknowledge.
from 2 years ago, a year ago and now.
I do want to acknowledge everyone's use of their library voice today. Outstanding job, everyone.
You got jokes, man. You got jokes. I love it. Ilani, do you have anything you would like to share around positive peer pressure?
I think my parents, because I know like they want the best for me and they help me financially, mentally, my lifestyle, and education too. So I feel like they help me and they be positive and they be helping me to grow more as I'm becoming an adult. So yeah, I feel like they are my positive peer, like person.
Oh, I love it. Look, that parental positive peer pressure. Look at that. I love it. And I love these conversations because I think a lot of times when we hear the words peer pressure, people put peer pressure to everything negative and not necessarily to a lot of the positivities or the positive things that can come from it. So now that we've started with the positives, what are some negative exposures that we've had to peer pressure? Oh, she ready. Hold on, y'all. Let's switch up.
This one's a little bit different because it's not necessarily a physical thing. Like I've had like book 2 weeks ago, the first week of Talk Tuesday, I talked about a friend group of mine, and I've had now, like with my other, like now that like we're all in college, I saw them at a Mother concert, which is a band. I saw them there, and we hung out and stuff. Like I said hi or whatever because I was on my own. So we were talking, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't think you were so emotional back then, and like I don't understand like I don't understand why you were upset all that much or whatever." And like and I was like, and then I started thinking that I'm like, oh, maybe I was really emotional for getting angry at them. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten angry at them. And that's kind of a peer pressure that not a lot of people talk about, is like other people telling you what you feel, which is not a good thing. Not tell you,
Absolutely.
tell you how you feel. So I feel like that's a type of peer pressure because a lot of people think like alcohol and drugs, but it can be something small like that, like being like, oh, this is what you're feeling is stupid. Like you shouldn't be feeling this way. And like it is a type of peer pressure. Sorry.
We're live streaming too, so.
Sorry, I talked about
Okay.
so because of that, I like, you know, that's a type of peer pressure I don't see a lot of people talk about where they peer pressure you into feeling a certain way when that's not how you feel.
Mhm.
And or even like not telling you, like making it so that you feel like you can't tell your feelings to them because they're like they know exactly how I feel because they told me how I feel.
Right.
So that's one.
And that's actually like microaggression. Look at Dot's face. She ready.
Well, it's a form of gaslighting. And
Mhm.
for those who don't know what that is, it's when you convince someone that the thing that they think is not true or not real, or somehow they're mistaken. They didn't see what they saw, they didn't feel what they felt. And
Mhm.
so it's a way of diminishing your feelings and saying they're invalid. And some people do it intentionally to be manipulative. Others do it because they don't understand and they're not trying to understand. And so they think that they know better than the person who felt or experienced that thing. And so you have to be very careful with people who are constantly making you doubt your feelings or your experience of a thing. Let's say everyone in the room is saying the sky is purple, but I see the sky and it's blue.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if 20 people see the sky differently. I know what I saw, and someone else trying to convince me otherwise is not necessarily it's going to be detrimental in some way, because eventually if I stop believing in myself or trusting myself to know what I know or to see what I've seen, then I now feel less in control of what I do have control over, which is my own thoughts and feelings and emotions. And
Mhm.
so it begins a negative cycle. And then where does ownership fall then? If I can't
Right.
control if I can't speak to or share my own thoughts and feelings, who can? And so
Right.
it becomes kind of a manipulation tactic or a way of controlling other people. And you have to be mindful of folks who do that, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Just because intentionally, it makes me wonder about their any honestly malicious intent, right? Like what benefit do they gain from having me doubt myself, right? And then unintentionally, you're still in a space where this person is not aware of the impact they have on you, and it's not helping you to not trust yourself. And this person, I'm always, I err on the side of trying to believe the good in people, so I hope that it's an unintentional thing, but
Right.
realistically I feel like it's a more practiced thing that folks do with negative intention. So
I like that. I like that. And thank you for shedding some light on that, Doc. Look, and I knew you was ready to hone in as soon as you said it.
anytime.
I saw your expression.
Well, I think we live in a society where now people catch so many things on video. It's so everything's very in front of you, but that doesn't negate the fact that there are times when even what you see isn't what it really is, because things can be tweaked and things can be trimmed and edited and all of these things. So it's real to want to take a moment and go, is what I'm seeing what really happened? Is this the whole story? I'm not saying take everything at face value. I'm just saying be mindful and cautious of people who are actively trying to make you doubt what you've seen for no other reason than to make you doubt yourself. Now, if it's to get you to inquire more, to think more broadly, to not just swallow everything the media monster is giving you, great. But that didn't sound like that. So
Oh, I love these perspectives. Does anybody else have something to add to the negative peer pressures?
I think for me, the negative peer pressure was environmental. Um, you only know what you know as a young person. And so, and I share this story a lot because I think it's important, especially, for young Black males, young Latino males, young Asian males who are, they find themselves in an environment that's not conducive, that doesn't offer too many avenues to broaden, to venture out, to do something different. It's kind of like one mainstream, so to have a crack house two doors down from me, starting at about first grade all the way up until high school, and then having users on the street, almost next door, seeing shootouts, frequently, just all this, um, not so great energy. The environment pressured me into surviving. And I always like to be mindful of that. A lot of the peer pressure is not necessarily from the peer, but necessarily from the environment that encourages the peers now to perform a certain way. And it's so easy to grab the low hanging fruit and say, oh yeah, the friends are doing that. The peers are making this person act this way or do this or do that. And if we would just take a minute to sit back, and I know this is me sounding like I'm running for, some kind of presidency. I'm not. It's just the facts are the facts. And sometimes it's bigger than the peers and the people in the environment when it's actually the environment itself that produces the pressure. And then that pressure is not to fit in, but maybe to survive. So we just have to take those things into, and put them in perspective when we start talking about some of the opposing peer pressure.
Oh, I love that. I love that perspective. I see you, Caesar. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I agree with Smitty. It was for me, it was environmental the peer pressure that I had to handle, but mostly it was from family side because most of my dad's family, as you know, my dad wasn't such a good guy. And when I wouldn't say, well, as a kid, maybe around 6, 5, somewhere around there, like as a kid, like a little guy. Um, it's not it's hard to realize what the bad and good things are, you know. So like I was like looking at my dad, and, oh, that's kind of cool. He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to deal with the consequences of his actions. He can do this, he can do that. And it's not until like I got a little older and I saw what he was doing to all the people around him actually and how it actually affected my family and my environment. It was my perspective changed. So yeah, the big negative peer pressure that I ever had was my dad and my basically my environment, because there was one point in my life that I was not trying to be him, but like trying to impress him almost. And it was always it wasn't always the nicest things that I used to do, but it was like, for example, I remember this one time he gave me I know he gave me something to protect myself around the neighborhood, and it was just the fact that I had that thing on me that I felt almost like him. And when my mom saw me and I saw how my mom felt about it, it was like, oh, what am I doing? This isn't really a good person I'm trying to be if I'm trying to be like him. So the biggest pressure, I think, was him for a negative side, I guess.
I want to thank you for sharing that because I'm hearing a lot of like the physical pressures, the environmental pressures, and you had the double positive and negative pressure around the same time.
Yeah.
So I want to just acknowledge like you're saying you had that negative peer pressure, but then here comes mom who's showing you the positives and what things she would like you to see and change, and she kind of pressured you into making that change.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Like y'all better come through with it. My next question for you guys is, how do you typically identify the kind of peer pressure that's kind of manipulative in a sense?
I'll jump back on it if you want. Oh, I see you, Smith. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I can wait.
I was just saying again, whenever there's a situation where people are trying to convince you what you know is not what you know, or getting you to doubt like yourself or something you've experienced, I feel like there's only really manipulation in that. There's other times too when people try to convince you that something that you know isn't good for you is good for you. Like if you sit here and tell me I can eat fried food every single day, I know you lying. Like I know you lying. It might taste good, but I know it's not good for my heart. So there's stuff that but you sound convincing and you're saying it with your whole chest or whatever, you're confident. You have to be mindful of people like that, because people will come and really try to convince you that what you know is not true. And those are those times when you know that there's something manipulative about what they're I don't know what they get out of it. There might be more to it. Maybe they're the person selling the medicine that I would need to be on. if my heart, if my cholesterol gets crazy, I don't know, but I don't know how it benefits them, but I recognize that there's a manipulation happening, and it's usually when something sounds like it's too good to be true.
Ooh, that too good to be true.
I was just going to say, we live in a predatory environment, right? I mean, if we just look at, to your point, sis, about social media, you know, um, it's crazy when we start talking about the manipulation process, and then you just change the word to predatory, right? In a very comical way. When you go into the supermarket, that's why the cereal is at the kids' height. It's predatory, right? When you go to the checkout line, there's candy, there's this predatory. It's manipulation, right? So it's we have to be very open-minded when we start talking about the manipulation process versus predatory, right? We live in a predatory society. When you look at social media and all of these things that's on there, when they want something or when they want you to look at them, then they might target, right? Let me share this really quick and I'm gonna shut up. Because I think it's very important when we start talking about manipulation and predatory, especially when it comes to young folks. I did not know this, but I just found out back in the day, the two large tobacco companies, Philip Morris and whoever the other person, R.J. Reynolds, when they got sued for selling a bad product, they went and bought the pharmaceutical companies and some of the food companies, right? And so what they did is they're preying on our taste buds to make us sick. Now that's some conspiracy theory talk. It sounds like I know, but I'm asking folks to do their due diligence when we start talking about manipulation, because it comes in all kind of forms and entities, right? So young folks, manipulation is almost like predatory. And when you're talking about predatory, you're going to sell, like Doctor was saying earlier. If you need me to tell you that the sky is purple and made of cotton candy, if I can get you to think like me, then that's what I'm going to tell you, right? Because eventually I'm going to tell you that it's not that and that it's actually black and full of chocolate swirls, right? So again, it's the manipulation step-by-step predatory process,
Yeah.
young folks, that you have to be wary of. And what was it? The snake charmer? Be careful of the snake charmer, young folks. It's
Snake
real.
oil. Snake oil. They're
Snake
selling
oil.
right. Snake oil salesman. Y'all are too young for that. Y'all don't understand. But basically, it's not. They're selling you falsehoods. So they're basically selling you a bottle, telling you it's this elixir that's going to help you live forever, and it's just water. You know what I mean? Like,
People
sure,
say,
you need water to live. Yes. So in that, they didn't lie, but you're not going to live forever. You know what I mean? And so back in the day, they used to call that snake oil salesman. Like they telling you it's one thing, going to do all these magic things for you. And realistically, it's not. Heck, it's probably olive oil.
Well, that's a good follow-up for me, Doc, because it's the wording that's important. This elixir
yes.
will make you live forever or make you live a long time. It's the word that's put in there. So when they're trying to manipulate young minds, right, this is going to make you the life of the party. Well, what party? The 6-year-old party or the adult party, right? You got to pay attention to some of the words, especially when people say they love you. Now, that's another situation, another topic, I understand. But loving you, what does that mean? That goes back to our conversations before when we start talking about boundaries and creating boundaries. So when someone says I love you, and then you already have this preconceived boundary of what love looks like, now you can debate them on, do you really love me? Right. So again, it just you got to pay attention to the snake oil.
Right. What do you mean by love as opposed to what I mean by love? Are we using the same parameters?
Right.
Good question.
Right.
Them definitions are important, and also understanding other people's definition of it, because people perceive things differently. I love that. My last question for y'all. Maybe. Oh, I got two good ones, so I'm trying to. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Smith is like, just hit me with it.
I feel like I'm on Family Feud, and you know when you're standing up there, they got the person standing up there with their hand behind their back, ready to hit the button.
He's like, tap me in, tap me in. Literally. How do we use peer pressure as a tool for growth?
That goes to that person who feels the pressure to have created those boundaries, right? To have had our original conversation, I think 2 weeks ago, was about the relationship with the parents and instilling some energy into the young mind to allow it to evolve, right? So if you get in that peer pressure, whether it's good, bad, or indifference, right? Hopefully that person now has the self-confidence to say, hold on, let me digest this. Let this marinate. How do I take this pressure? Right? See, because sometimes, sometimes you need two opposing pressures. We talked about the bananas the last time I was here. We're not going to talk about bananas, but you need two opposing pressures sometime to make you better, right? Like you can't be the same as somebody else. You might need somebody else's pressure to push you a little bit, to motivate you a little bit. So it could be negative, it could be positive, I don't know, but I think it's that person building that foundation to say, oh, okay, how do I digest this? And then do I have the open line of communication to talk to my parents or my loved ones or my siblings or whoever whoever may be available in the support network, right? To provide me the grace to evolve and take this pressure and do what I need to do with it. I might need to absorb it. I might reject it, but at least I have the wherewithal to understand that part of the equation.
Oh,
my bad. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Caesar. You're fine.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is that the way that, from my experience at least, the way peer pressure has pretty much, because what Smitty was saying, right, what about the environment and stuff. I think that my peer pressure was very much came from that an environment that wasn't meant it was meant for like survival pretty much. So when I went to, it's like the peer pressure that I experienced helped me grow as a person because it showed me, and obviously the positive and negative also showed me, but they both are a part of it. But they showed me how to, what not to do, what to do, how to do it, and what I've learned from it, I guess. So, like for example, uh, I think like whenever I was a kid, I guess, and I was doing my mischievous things that I used to do, and it was a negative, yeah, but I always had that positive energy with my family. Well, otherwise from not from my dad's side, but from my mom's side, that like that checking up on me, like that. What you're doing is not okay. Can you please change it or something like that? And it got to the point where I think I understood that, because I realized a long time ago that whatever happened to me or whatever, positive or negative, it was a good thing because it made me the person I am now. So I think positive and like Spinny said, positive and negative peer pressure go hand to hand, I think.
I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. What you said, Caesar, actually is a level of what I was gonna share. I think that who you are around can be useful to you. So if I know that I'm not motivated to do, like you mentioned, working out with your little brother, like I know that me getting to the gym is rough, but I have a gym buddy and we motivate each other to go to the gym because she don't want to be there any more than I do. But when we both look in the mirror, we like what we see after we've worked out. So that peer we use that peer pressure for each other to get better and be, make healthier decisions. But I was like, yeah, that's not me in the gym. We have a love-hate relationship. I love to hate it. And so it's really important for me to have someone that I feel like I don't want to disappoint her. You know what I mean? Like there's a little added it's peer pressure realistically that gets me to go. And I know that I need it. And so I'm purposeful about finding people who will pour into me like this and support me like this. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What about you, Amaya and Ilani? Yeah, I'm calling y'all out. Y'all thought I forgot about y'all, huh?
I think I have like an example. I'll say, I think it was like last year, I had a situation like kind of come up with like one of my closest friends, and maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, like we were in a situation and I felt like my boundaries were crossed. That's all I'll say. And I addressed it in that moment. But a few years later, like, something came up that reminded me of that situation. And I think there was a feeling of, ooh, maybe this is something I need to kind of bring up again in our friendship, just because I feel a bit uncomfortable about what happened. I have a different perspective of what happened now than I did when it happened, because I was much younger. The context of my life was different, so I didn't see it as a harmful thing as it actually was. So I remember I went to somebody like close to me. It was actually like a parent, it was my mom, and I told her like, well, I think I kind of want to like bring this thing up to my friend, but I don't know, I'm a little nervous. And I kind of was going to her for advice. And I think her advice was like, well, I don't know if I'll really say anything because you already kind of addressed it. She acknowledged it, apologized, whatever, which was all true. And I think I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say anything. So I sat on it for a little longer, and it just bothered me. And I think I actually ended up going to the friend and talking it out. It's an ongoing conversation because it was a bit surprising to the friend, but they were very receptive. But I think what it taught me was, the pressure I felt from my mom, like maybe don't, was like, maybe listen to myself a little more. Like, how do I feel? Like, what is like my internal voice telling me, is the right thing to do? Because even people in our lives that mean us well, like, aren't always going to feel what we feel or know how something felt to us and why it bothers us in the way that it does. So, like, listening to yourself first before like seeking help or like putting somebody else's advice over your own voice is like, very important. So, yes.
That was deep. I like that. But y'all better come through with this advice. Alani, anything you want to share? Are you good? Alani's like, you gonna put me on the spot.
Well, kind of story. I had a friend that I was pressured to skip class. Um, it was difficult, but I had another friend that she would be like, no, don't skip class. So I had like the positive and the negative of like not skipping class or skip, like, but sometimes I said no and she would get upset, but I learned how to say no because obviously I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, I stopped doing that with her.
I love it. And I think no is such a powerful word that sometimes we do not use enough. So I love that you learned how to say and own your no. And that's definitely some growth. Sharon, you got anything you would like to share? She's like, no. I love it, y'all. Look, so before we wrap up real quick, is there anything that you guys would like to tell the people who are listening today when it comes to peer pressure? So any final words of advice or wisdom that you think people should know? Oh, she's like, now I'm ready.
I think the only advice I can give is to like listen to your gut always. Like don't just trust other people what other people tell you. And just like be able to like it is a learning curve. It is something that you kind of have to like, especially because if you're a people pleaser like me, you're kind of like, but I don't want to upset them if I like say no. But you kind of have to like put your foot down because you don't want to do something that you don't want to do, or you don't want to feel a way that you don't feel. So it's kind of important to kind of listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your gut, listen to your mind, and make a decision based on what you feel and not what other people feel about you.
Yes. I'm loving it. Anybody else got any final words for those that are listening?
Yes. Oh, what my speed?
Go ahead, C's. Go ahead.
All right, bet. All right, cool. What I would like to say to anybody out there who, from that's watching, is that don't let anybody change who you are, because sometimes people are trying to get you to speak a certain way or get you to do stuff that you don't really want to do, just so they can be someone, so you can be someone like him, I guess, or her, or whatever. So don't let nobody change the way you are, the way you feel, or the way you act, I guess.
Oh, see, but yes, y'all better come through with these words of wisdom.
That's powerful, C's. I was gonna say that. Now you're making me change up my game. I will share this, young people, because I find it to be extremely important in my life. And as I look back on it, I wish I would have known it back then. And is if you're a young person, when I say young, anywhere where you're in that friendship range where you're creating those cliques. The great Dr. King said, you have to have a blueprint. And once you get that blueprint and you create your destiny and your legacy, you're going to know what pressure looks like, whether it's a good pressure or whether it's a bad pressure. We oftentimes get a little bit discombobulated when we don't have a blueprint and everything is just kind of on we're flying the plane as we're making it, so to speak. So what we want to do is we want to build our plane, right? Make sure it's got the both wings and the vertebrae thing and, a good pilot. And that way there, when the turbulence come, that's the peer pressure. You'll know if it's good or bad. So have a blueprint, understand where you're trying to go, and believe in yourself. Like C said, you ain't got to change for nobody. Look here, I ain't ever going to change. I am who I am. uncut and authentic is who I am. And when you get Smith, you get Smith. And if you 12, be 12 and be 12 who you are. When you're 15, be 15 and who you are. And don't change for nobody. Be you. And love who you are. If you got long hair, short hair, if you got one leg or 3 ears, it don't matter. You just be you. And if you do got 3 ears, that just means you special and you was here to listen to a lot of problems because you can withstand it. You know what I'm saying? Understand who you are. You are authentic, you are wonderful, you are special, and you are magnificent in your own way, just like you are.
Hold on, Smith. Hold up. Because see, my girl ain't with me to tell me what to do. Oh, I ain't do I can Smith, never mind. I don't even got it on here. Missing my background, my collection plate.
I already know what you're looking for, sis. We all right. We all right. We all right.
Oh, that was awesome. That was phenomenal. Anybody else got any words of wisdom they would like to leave for the people? Doc is like, I'm
I
not
feel like
gonna
I said it
follow
all. I feel right. I feel like Smitty closed us out nicely. I feel like that was fantastic.
up, right? I don't even
Hit
want
the
to come
people
behind it.
covered. For sure.
Look, I feel like I should just be like, bye, y'all, have a good night. Look, I don't even want to come behind it. Smith done took over. Like what I do. I love it, guys. But no, I want to say, first of all, thank you guys for being a part of Talk Tuesday. And we hope that this discussion has brought you guys much needed perspective and that you guys are learning a lot about positive peer relationships and that you've been given some valuable insights. Remember that the quality of your friendships can have a huge impact on your happiness and well-being. So choose your circle wisely and always strive for connections that build you up and not tear you down. For those of you who've been following us, you know that we have programming going on throughout the week. And so next weekend, you guys, we want to see you at Family Walk in the Park. So you can come have great conversations with us while we are walking and building family engagement opportunities. So that being said, you guys, remember that you are stronger than you think and that you are more capable than you realize. Keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep choosing positive connections. Until next time, take care of yourself and we'll see you on the next Talk Tuesday. Look, ready for it, Smith? Because you know this is just for you.